Hello there and welcome to the latest Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo. I'm your host Joe Rimmer, joined today by Ian Doyle and Paul Gorst. I thought my last pod was going to be on Monday.
Yeah, I feel like we've
come on for an encore.
We thought that as well,
yeah.
You can never have too much of a good thing.
Yeah, that's it. Well, you can because today's definitely my last pod, unless you fancy recording on Sunday.
I really don't.
No. You're off and you'll be in Burnley.
Yes.
So, yeah. How are you both?
Good. Yes, we are at the end of the international break, aren't we? Which feels longer than ever because I've worked the full 2 weeks. So remind me not to do that again.
The September ones are particularly... I mean, I always say this, but I think September's tough because you're just getting back into the swing of it and then it comes. But November, by the time we get through to November, that's a graveyard, isn't it?
Yeah, thanks for reminding us that, Joe. As you go head off into the sunset and we look forward to the October and November international breaks.
But I normally don't mind them because you'd normally have a week off and just time to take stock, but then you work it and not a lot.
Which one are you taking this year? I want to take November. You can have October.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
that works.
Yeah.
He's not bothered anymore, is he?
I know
he doesn't
he's
have
going,
to put through our holidays requests.
Yeah.
No, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
Strangely, I've got 33 holidays left now for our new boss.
Yeah. Hi, Wheelo. Well, if you are going on holiday, make sure you got NordVPN in your pocket. Because
there's seamless transitions that we're going to miss.
Yeah. If you want to get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/bloodred. And our link gives you 4 months extra on a 2-year plan. There's no risk at all. With Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee, the link is in the podcast episode description box. We are live on YouTube, so I'll be keeping an eye on that for questions. I've got some questions to my email. You can no longer email me. That email will be out of use by Monday. So email paul.gorst@reachplc.com or ian.doyle@reachplc.com. You see how this works, don't you? First name dot second name at reachplc. Email them all.
Email Ian constructive criticism over his ratings as well.
Yeah, you can do. Yeah.
Or if you really want to, you could email our podcast editor and guru, Ian.Kroll at reachplc.com.
He's Ian.Kroll. I'm sure it's 01.
Is it?
01?
01? Oh, because you are the first. Oh, there we go. Just email them all.
So
Theo Squires at Trinity.
So you've got plenty of options, but I do have some questions. So we'll get to them. Like, subscribe, give us stars, say some nice things.
Press the bell
for notifications. I always feel like I have to clarify that just in case. Let's get to a couple of the questions and then we'll start talking about your Slot's presser. Plenty of other things. So let's start there. Sam Williams, friend of the show. Sam, how are you? Thanks very much for messaging. Sam says he's got two. Number one is Michael Elise a natural successor to replace Mo Salah?
In my view, yes.
In your view, yes.
In terms of ability and stuff, you might find yourself struggling to come up with a short list of players who might be a better fit. He's really kicked on, hasn't he, by Munich? The difficulty, of course, is he's at a level now where Liverpool wouldn't be able to cherry pick him from a club beneath them in the pecking order. I think Bayern are at least, similar standing, aren't they? But yeah, he's a really good player, and he's a big star for France nowadays, isn't he? So yeah, keep an eye on that one, but we don't want to contemplate a Mohamed Salah-less world at Liverpool yet, do we?
Absolutely not. And I always think anyone who's succeeded Mohamed Salah, Salah's numbers are just out of this world, aren't they? I just had a quick look. He got 12 goals in the Bundesliga last season. And he's obviously had a really, really good season, but just doesn't get close to Salah. And I think people are going to have to accept that Salah's almost like a once-in-a-lifetime type of player.
I think people do accept that. That's why he's going to be regarded as one of the best players Liverpool have ever had. Would certainly make it into my 11 of best players I've seen play for Liverpool. So no surprise there, but I'd love to see Elise. I do like him. Always liked him. Even when he was at Reading, I liked him there. So I definitely think, as Gorsty said, it'd be difficult to get him out of Bayern Munich. But I think one thing that we've seen in the last couple of years, certainly the last 2 years, is that teams at that level, clubs at that level even, they're not averse to exchanging players. In the old days, there was no chance of that ever happening. But I think it's become a little bit more prevalent because I think they've just thought, well, why not? And if, that's looking very far down the line, but if he wants to come, Liverpool want him, and if Liverpool pay the right amount, then they'll get him.
And also, they've done quite well out of Liverpool this summer. Luis Diaz settling in quite well over there, isn't he?
Yeah, Arne Slot made the point today, didn't he, about selling players when they join other clubs. They are in a really good shape, so they're able to hit the ground running, and you're seeing that now with Luis Diaz. Be interesting to see how Harvey Elliott kicks on now at Aston Villa. Tyler Morton, by all accounts, has started well at Lyon. But I mean, I think in terms of replacing Salah, not necessarily position-wise, but this is why Liverpool have invested in Alexander Isak and Florian Wirtz for 6 years and 5-year contracts, because they know, in a way, that Liverpool knew they were losing Trent Alexander-Arnold's unique creativity over the summer. They needed to get that back into the team. So with one eye on the future, with no Salah there, they need to replace his goals. So signing the guy who's, the only finished second to him last year, didn't he, in the goal scoring charts. I think this is part of the thinking for the long term, and it's going to be a really interesting season. But ultimately, I think Isak will be the Salah replacement.
Nice one, right? Well, thank you, Sam. I've got another one from Sam before we move on. Quite an interesting one, actually, one we have not discussed yet on the pod. Is there an increasing concern of Premier League games being played abroad? Feels like it's rumbling in the background. I've been reading about this over the last few weeks, and I mean, I remember years ago they were talking about the 39th game and all that. It kind of went away, didn't it? But it feels like something that will keep coming back to the fore.
UEFA have deferred a decision, haven't they, on it? Because they were going to do it this week. And I think that's probably why Sam's brought it up. I think it was Serie A and La Liga want to play games, possibly in America. I think it is.
Yeah. I think La Liga have had the Community Shield, the Super Cup in Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
That's right. So there have been them kind of things, but it's one thing for it to be like basically, as Gorty said, a Community Shield, Charity Shield kind of game, rather than actual league match. But yeah, they've deferred a decision on it because they want to speak to all the stakeholders, which I suspect means all of the clubs in Europe, the main clubs anyway, and also the fans. Because, if you imagine you've got a season ticket at Anfield, or I nearly said Goodison then, or the Hill Dickinson, as we can't call it. I know, sorry, naughty me. And the game gets moved to America, what are you going to do with your ticket?
Yeah. I mean, do you know what? I get why it goes against all heritage and stuff like that, but just to play devil's advocate, I'm not in favour for it by any stretch, but to play devil's advocate a little bit.
Paul Gorst is in favour of it. Here he goes.
This is very much Paul Gorst's opinion.
On the tours, and you might see where I'm coming from with this, Doyle, the tours of America and the Asia the last summer and this summer, the support for Liverpool in particular is incredible wherever you go in the world, and they are so passionate about seeing exhibition games that sometimes you feel a little bit sorry for them, that they've that interested in seeing 23 players and all these changes and games that don't mean anything. So the support, I'm sure, would be there if it was decided to have a Premier League game with meaning and with importance attached to it, in far-flung areas of the globe. But having said that, I'm generally not against it. It does sort of fly in the face of everything you sort of meant to stand for, I guess.
Do you know what I would do? Sorry, the Community Shield, it's not very community to move that abroad. But what I would say is, if you're going to move any game abroad, it would be that one. But I would say that they would have to make a huge contribution to a charitable cause. So if they did move it to somewhere like America or Saudi Arabia and got paid a shed load of money to do so, it shouldn't just go into the pockets of the FA or the Premier League or the clubs. They should say, we're getting more exposure in the US, but we're going to send all this money to, and I don't know what causes the Community Shield supports, but whatever that is, make it worth their while to say to people, look, if we're going to do this, the money's going to go to the right place. I don't think they would do that, because then the money never goes to the right place.
No. What I would say on the tours thing is that if you ask everybody who, the locals who watch these tours or go to those games, you say to them, where would you like to watch Liverpool? And their answer is always, I'd like to see them at Anfield. So if you take away one of the games that they could possibly go to there, it doesn't seem to make any sense, and you would lose, not just Liverpool, but every single team would lose out. And then you'd go, well, hang on, how come some of them play one of their home games away? How does that work? So they'd all have to have one. And then suddenly you go, well, we need 2 games, 2 rounds. Then they'd have to be the same round either side. Yeah. And then you'd have to pick games that, say, you wouldn't have Liverpool v Everton in America twice. You know what I mean? That just wouldn't happen. Yeah. So I think it's a complete non-starter. It shouldn't happen. And it won't help the countries that they're going to as well, because we hear that the Saudi Pro League is meant to be, if a game was, they're suggesting a game goes to Saudi Arabia, that's meant to be on the up, or they're trying to build it up. Last thing they want is Barcelona, Real Madrid, Liverpool, Everton, Man United, all them coming over and playing competitive games to distract from that.
Yeah.
And the same in America, where over the last 30 years, the MLS has become one of the bigger leagues.
Mm-hmm. And also as well, it's with respect to other clubs in the Premier League, you've got clubs like Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester United and Chelsea and Everton, they've all got big followings in the USA, for example. So if Liverpool were to play the Community Shield in, MetLife Stadium or whatever against Crystal Palace, or maybe, say it's a Premier League game, there's not going to be a whole lot of Palace fans out in the States. So that creates an imbalance in terms of the support. If that's meant to be a home game for Palace and it's 80% Liverpool fans, just a bit of an example, that is a disadvantage and an unfair one, isn't it? So that's coming at it from a bit of a sporting perspective as well. So yeah, I mean, you will get, with the amount of American ownership now in the Premier League, it probably is never really going to totally go away off the table, but I can't really see it happening, or it shouldn't.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, we're lucky in the sense of geographically, we've got Liverpool and Everton, we live near there. We live near Man United and Man City, for example. So there's 4 big clubs, and it doesn't take very long to go to London or Aston Villa or wherever, anything like that. It was like 25, 30 years ago that the big teams were, everybody wanted to go and watch Barcelona and Real Madrid, and you just, it was very hard for us to go off and do that. And then 10 years, 15 years before that, it was in Italy where the big players were all playing Serie A for Juventus and AC Milan and Inter Milan. So these things go around in circles. It's just one of those things. And as I said before, these fans who can't see the club, if you ask them, they would much rather go and see them at the home grounds. That's where the reputations have been forged. That's why these places have got, traditions for atmospheres and this, that, and the other. I mean, not all of them will be able to, but unfortunately, life is not fair. I know that sounds harsh, but that is just the way it is.
There's your lesson from Uncle Ian. Now. Life is not fair. Right?
It's true.
It's true. Okay. I've got another question from Graham, who sent me a very nice email. Thank you, Graham. After Slot has now had a few weeks with new players, has there, in your opinion, been any noticeable changes in Liverpool's play? And how do you see the adaptation to Slot's methods going? I was at the Arsenal game and I was most impressed with the defending as a unit and the individual improvements from Kerkez, Konate and, of course, Szoboszlai at right back. Very excited to see the introduction of Isak in the coming weeks. What difference have you seen in this season?
Well, I mean, it's not a lot in terms of Frimpong because he gets injured against Bournemouth. He hasn't played since. Kerkez has had a little bit of a tough introduction, hasn't he? But I thought he was excellent against Arsenal. And Ekatike is flying, isn't he? He's took to it really well. He looks strong, quick, silky touch. Looks like he's going to be a really good finisher of chances. So he's probably the one who's impressed most. But I haven't really seen too much of a change in terms of a style. I think we're still waiting to see a little bit more from Kerkez in an attacking sense. Certainly what he was doing for Bournemouth last season. But, Wirtz is another one. We're still waiting for him to take off. But like we said on Monday's pod, thought he was a lot better in the second half against Arsenal, grew into the game. And no concerns about him. But I think that's going to be the big adaptation, isn't it? A very different type of number 10 to what Dominic Szoboszlai was last season. So that is where Liverpool are going to have to work out the kinks. Szoboszlai was obviously huge sort of pressing monster, wasn't he, getting all about the pitch, but does stay on the move, but is not known for that as such. He's better on the ball and creating, so that's going to be one part of it that they're going to have to develop as they go, and I guess more of that defensive responsibility falls on Electric Gravenberch and McAllister.
I felt like second half Arsenal was more like the Slot teams that we know. The first couple of games were just so crazy and chaotic.
Well, the Newcastle game for a large part, certainly the first half, and for Arsenal in the first half, there was an awful lot of just booting it long and getting Ekatike to go and run after it, or Gakpo on the angle, and trying to find the diagonals for Salah as well. But you're right. Obviously, in the second half at Newcastle, that was a bit of a strange game, if we're being honest. Yeah. But second half against Arsenal, they did get it down a bit more, partly because Curtis came on second half, after an hour, and it turns out that he'd got injured.
Yeah,
so,
which is a shame because he played very, very well.
Yeah, he did. But the England squad had already been named, hadn't it? So he wasn't in the England squad anyway. The one that he obviously wasn't in it recently. It wasn't because of injury, which still don't quite get that. But yeah, I think these next, because it's very much like last season. Was it this batch of games or the one after it that were the difficult ones? It was the ones after it. They tended to get progressively harder, but I think they're quite even in the sense that the first 3 games, including 4 if you count the Community Shield, they're quite reasonably tough. These ones are not the hardest, but some of them are quite difficult. And then I think between October and November, there are more tough ones again. So I think in terms of the style of play, as Gorsty said, we're not going to see too much difference until the players bed in. And don't forget, there's now the main strikers in, so it's going to change again, even if it had changed a little bit over the first 3 games.
Yeah. Right, thank you, Graham. And then a question quickly from Bongo O'Malley. What a name that is. Who just says, what's happening in the podcast? I'm tag confused. Not a great deal. The podcast will go on. I'm just not going to be hosting
The heart will go on, or the podcast.
Yeah, the heart will go on.
With me, Paul, Theodore, and possibly 1 or 2 new faces, possibly.
Yeah, possibly. New blood.
Just no you.
Yeah.
We need to spend big now, don't we?
We do. Spend big in the transfer market.
Well, they have saved for an awful long time, haven't they?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. Right.
I'm going to go with no, I'll be honest.
You were at the press conference today. Both of you were at the press conference today. Slot was quite forthright on a number of different things, wasn't he? Let's start with Isak. He sort of gave a hint of what's to come for Isak, certainly in the next few weeks anyway, and that was probably not 90 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, he was quite open about that, wasn't he? Normally he's very coy, and he probably tried to pretend that you might go into the weekend thinking Isak's going to start and play an hour, but I think he just said he hasn't had much of a pre-season at all, so don't expect him to be playing loads and loads. But I wonder whether obviously they've got three games in 6 days now, Liverpool, from Sunday to Saturday. I wonder whether this is the easiest one to blood him into it, because Atletico Madrid in the Champions League is going to be blood and thunder, and then you've got the Merseyside derby, haven't you? So this feels like it might be the one if you're going to give him 25 minutes, half an hour maybe, to blood him in. All being well, of course, Liverpool being Liverpool so far this season, it could end up being a totally crazy game, and you just have to batten down the hatches and try and get through it. But if Liverpool are able to put some daylight between themselves and Burnley, this might be a good one for him to come on and get more minutes under his belt, as they say, because he hasn't played at all, has he, really, apart from those 18 minutes for Sweden against Kosovo, going back to the final day of last season.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Look at the fixtures. You've got Burnley away, Atletico at home, Everton at home, Southampton in the League Cup at home, and then Palace away, Galatasaray away, and Chelsea away, and then Man United at home. So, like you say, there's not any
Southampton at home could be the one where he starts, couldn't it? Yeah. We saw that last summer with Chiesa, who'd had a similarly disrupted pre-season, he hadn't played at all for Juventus, I don't think. So maybe that's the one that they're sort of circling on the calendar to give him a start. But
I just suspect he'll start before then. I don't. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I just think he'll be too good not to.
Yeah, but we know he's good, but he might not be fit enough, and they'd rather just, as Slot said, I don't necessarily think it was anything more than probably managing expectations from supporters, because it's been taken that long that he signed that he's not going to walk straight into the team, and also Ekatike is doing all right. So
yeah, of course, yeah.
If he plays more than 20 minutes against Burnley, I'd imagine something's gone wrong.
He was quite complimentary to John Doyle Thomas, wasn't he, about the way Sweden managed the workload for Isak. It would be the easiest thing in the world for the Sweden manager, not a massive European giant, are they, to just play their best player and just stick him in. But they recognise that had they done that, it increases the risk of injury, which leaves them potentially counting the cost of it further down the line, and obviously Liverpool as well on the back of historic transfers. So yeah, it was it feels as though they've got off on the right foot, the Swedish backroom team or FA and Liverpool, because that is going to be a key relationship now for Isak for the coming years.
I still can't get over John Doyle Thomas and being the Sweden manager. It always reminds me of like when you used to play Championship Manager and like Taribo West would come to Anfield with Man United, that sort of thing. Do you think we'll see Isak in a 2 at some point with Ekatike? Do you think that's possible?
And it's possible. Whether or not it's what we'd call a 4-4-2, I don't know. But I would imagine there could be a forward line where Ekitike is on the left and Isak is down the middle, or it could be Ekitike plays in a kind of a numbery 10-y kind of role, or a bit withdrawn, not necessarily right up top alongside Isak. But this is something. This is what's going to be the fun bit for Slot on the training ground, because he can go, right, let's try this and see how this works, and they'll probably not have expected something that will end up working. There'll be a surprise for them, and when you've got players of that quality, it will be exciting for him, because there's a lot of opportunities. He mentioned towards the end of last season that the players that he was going to bring in, he wanted them to be versatile. And funnily enough, I think Isak is probably one of the least versatiles of all the players. Apart from Mamadashvili, who and the other goalkeepers. Actually, Kirkes as well. I'm talking myself out at this point, aren't I? Kirkes is
he's just very much a striker, though, isn't he? No messing about.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were going to continue there.
I'd be surprised if he goes 4-4-2 with Isak and Ekitike.
Sorry, I'm slightly because Ian's health is progressively getting worse.
I know,
as the podcast goes on.
I've been struggling.
You better hurry up and get this done.
You're getting off. He's pegging out, and I'll be on my own. Where was I? Yeah, I'd be surprised if he plays in a 4-4-2 with just because they're very stylistically similar, aren't they? And maybe there's scope for Ekitike playing wide at times. I wouldn't mind seeing that as such, because I think Cody Gakpo could do with a little bit of competition there. He obviously had it last season with Luis Diaz, and now he's got Rio Wingamoa, who's very much the understudy in that role. So they're going to have to chop and change as they go, aren't they? But yeah, it's just a really exciting front line, isn't it? When you think, obviously, Salah, Isak coming to continue what he's done at Newcastle, all being well. And then Ekitike and Gakpo, and then Florian Wirtz behind them. So it's just a mouthwatering prospect. And Slot spoke a lot about winning so many games last season, but they were 2-1s, 1-0s, 3-2s, whatever it may be. There weren't many 3s and 4-0s, were there? So maybe this is part of the grand design to start blowing teams away a little bit more than they did last season.
And Slot was very forthright, wasn't he, about the Mark Gay's situation? He spoke quite candidly, I suppose, about.
Well, he couldn't hide it, could he? Like he did have the bid. Yeah, the bid was accepted, and he was on his way until Crystal Palace said we can't do it because they didn't have a replacement. He didn't really answer the question of do you expect David Mea next year, kind of thing, which suggests that he didn't say no. Suggests what we all know, and that Liverpool will be quite keen to still have him, because why wouldn't you? Yeah, because he'll have another year under his belt, and it'll be interesting because looking ahead, it looks like England are going to qualify for the World Cup, and if they have a half-decent one and Gay's fit, you'd think he'd be playing quite a bit in it. And I think Liverpool would quite like to get that sorted before he... Well, we're well aware that all of these clubs are all aware of all the players, that certainly the players who are coming out of contract. The sooner they get that sorted, the better.
Yeah. Do they announce... Like, say Mark Gay can speak to clubs outside of England from January the 1st, can't he? Yeah. If he was to agree a deal with Real Madrid, for example... Does that get announced before?
Yeah, you can do. Matip did that with Liverpool when he left Schalke. So
does it work the same with the Premier League though? With
Premier League, you can't speak till June.
Yeah, so even if it has been sort of all agreed as such, it wouldn't be announced formally. That's right, isn't it?
Liverpool can't formally talk to him until next June. Yeah, basically
right,
in the Premier League, like a month.
They could do if they could ask for permission.
They could ask for permission. Yeah. Yeah, but they couldn't announce anything because nothing can be officially done.
I think he might come in and replace Canate now, free for free.
Yeah,
I thought that would be the case now. I thought he was going to replace Canate anyway, but they're still going to get him in this season.
Yeah.
You come in, he's a year younger. You're not losing anything in terms of. There's probably not much between them, defensive wise as players. Someone might counter argue that, but I don't see a whole lot of difference.
Yeah, and then you have Leone to sort of learn the ropes, don't you, for a season or two, and then he will be more senior, and then maybe they'll buy another one.
I think my health is deteriorating because the imminence of your departure is possibly dawning on me. That's what it is.
Did you just say,
It's the sweetest thing he's ever said to me. Yeah. Thanks, Ian.
Thrown in there, haven't I?
Yeah, of course, I know. Well, should we just leave it there? I'm going to tear up. Chiesa left out of the Liverpool's Champions League squad again. I really liked some of the stuff that the Slot said about him. He sort of, all right, he didn't love being told that he wasn't in the Champions League squad, but he said he'd get that, he'd knuckle down and be there for the cup games, the Premier League games. I don't know, it always paints this picture of this quite likeable character, doesn't it?
Yeah, and he comes across like that, doesn't he? He's just like the family's new Labrador, just sort of happy to be there, just bounding him out the place. But yeah, he will have been disappointed. He will have been disappointed to have not made the squad. You know, when you see the headlines, Doyle, you wrote the piece, didn't you? Was it last week? And it looks and sounds a lot harsher than it is. It looks like Chiesa left out the Champions League squad, paints this picture of Liverpool offering him up to clubs who might be interested in taking him, you know, before their transfer window closed, and Besiktas had been in touch. But it was basically just a red tape thing, wasn't it? Because they didn't get Gay in, they had to use another homegrown spot, and that was chosen for Ingamoa because he's...
Non-homegrown.
Non-homegrown,
yeah.
Sorry, yeah. Because he's only been at the club for 12 months. He's not classed as a club-trained player, so he takes up that spot. So that's pretty much all it
in
was.
January...
For the knockout stages?
Yeah,
Yes.
he can be registered then, can't he? Because Ngomoa will be over.
No, but they could change it if they
they
wanted
could
to.
change it.
Yeah.
But is there anyone that could be essentially once they get to like 2 years or 18 months with the
It's
team,
only the end of
they
the season. It
can
doesn't
then-
happen midway through the
All right,
season.
okay, all right. Stand corrected. All right.
Don't you read Theo Squires' stuff? He's all been banging on about this for a long time. Liverpool should have been reading it because then they don't know.
So now Chiesa is going to become Mr. Carabao, isn't he? You
Mr.
imagine
Carabao,
to
yeah.
play in every
Yeah.
single one of those, play every minute.
You and me are both Federico. Yeah. There you
Yeah,
go.
there he is.
Federico.
Looking a bit unwell there.
Running out of questions.
This is totally unprofessional. Yeah, exactly.
Julian Baxter,
You found it in. Yeah.
Sanjay Mystery.
I think they've all been in touch, but I think they've all think of
What's
gone. So.
I've forgotten his surname. Julian
Baxter
That's
said
it,
him, yeah.
What did you say? Sorry,
Yeah.
apologies. I wasn't sure what you say.
And no pain, no gains in the comments, and he said hello, but he's not asked the question.
He
so-
will now, though, won't he?
Yeah, he might do.
You go to them all.
Yeah, Curtis Jones will be a big miss. He's the only injury concern going into this weekend's game.
Well, yes. I mean, Frimpong was back training,
He
wasn't
didn't expand much on Frimpong,
Yeah,
did he?
so I wonder whether or not he's ready. Yeah, I don't think he'd be ready to start. But
Frimpong? Oh, no.
Conor Bradley would be. So the big shout, we'll get to the teams a bit later
Yeah.
on, is were you going to play Szoboszlai? There's no way you can't play him.
Oh, absolutely. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah,
I'm on the beach here. I'm struggling.
So me and Doyle holding it, piecing this together.
If you had to choose a beach in England, which beach would you choose to be on?
In England, well,
Yeah.
can I choose one that I've not been to?
Yeah.
Like Northumbria, I've not been up that way, and I'd like to go. So yeah.
I reckon Chris Beasley, our Everton's colleague, I reckon he's been there because I think he's been to all of the counties in Great Britain.
Is that where the
Something
North
like
starts?
that. No, it's a
No.
loaded and thorny
Well,
subject.
yeah.
Now we are really losing the listeners. They've literally just dropped before my eyes.
What were we talking about? Chiesa.
We did Chiesa.
Mm,
I forgot what
This
we were talking
isn't a
about.
good- this isn't a good look.
you're totally
The
thrown us.
podcast, you were talking about
You were talking about
injuries,
the
injuries
right
the
back
weekend.
situation.
Injuries
When,
of the
yeah,
weekend,
yeah,
Curtis
I
Jones
don't
and
think.
stuff like
I mean, it's surprised Curtis Jones was injured, wasn't it? That sort of.
Yeah, when
Came
did he
from
get
nowhere.
injured in the game? I don't remember.
Yeah,
'cause I don't,
well-
he came on, he didn't go off, did he?
Well, me and Doyle were at the training ground, weren't we, this week, and we saw Curtis sort of
having a
just
coffee,
milling
having a
about
chat,
the place, yeah. And didn't expect him to be walking on crutches or anything. We didn't get the idea that he was injured, but obviously he's going to be ruled out of Sunday, which is a little bit of a blow because I thought he might have had a bit of a, put his hand up to start that one, given the...
Put his hand up. Can I start?
I'll start, given that the games are going to be coming... two big games next week. Atletico Madrid in Champions League and obviously the derby.
He'll want to play in the derby, won't he?
Yeah,
He'll definitely want to play in that one.
So what is that? I mean, McAllister played 90 minutes, didn't he, for Argentina, but hasn't played an awful lot. So what kind of state is he going to be in to play Sunday? Does Szoboszlai, I mean, we're going to get onto our teams, but does Szoboszlai get a shout to go back into midfield now on the back of Jones's injury?
Don't ruin the next segment, Paul. No pay, no pick gains. Asked the question, which is good. I think he's scraping the barrel a bit as well himself with this one. Will Marmad-Dashvili run with domestic cup games or perhaps some Champions League games? Domestic cups,
I think
absolutely.
domestic cups, absolutely. Champions League depends on whether Liverpool are kind of through for those last two games in January.
Yeah, wouldn't disagree with that. I don't really see the idea of changing your goalkeeper unless it's a lesser competition. Remember Klopp used to change Mignolet and Karius, depending on what competition
that
it
one
was.
season, wasn't it?
It was very
Mignolet was
strange.
Champions League goalkeeper right till the end, wasn't he? And then
Karius
Karius came in and
yeah.
chucked it in the back of the net.
Very, very, very strange situation. That Mamardashvili will be the number 2 this season, but I think he's having himself a little bit. And I think he fancies, maybe. No, I think he's a very confident goalkeeper and sees himself eventually displacing Alisson Becker.
Nothing wrong with a bit of confidence,
No,
especially when
not
you've
at all.
got such a big task to face ahead of you. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because that goalkeeper situation is a little bit like Liverpool found when Salah, Mane, and Firmino, and they could never really recruit a fourth person. I know they already had Origi there, and they ended up with Minamino, but he wasn't. Yeah,
Jota, wasn't it? Jota came in.
And Jota was the one who stuck with it. So, Kelleher, he was very good goalkeeper. He still is a very good goalkeeper, but he was never going to be number 2 forever. And I think if he'd have been at Liverpool 3 years later, I think he would end up being the next goalkeeper. But Mamardashvili's out of that age, and as Ghosty said, he loves himself.
I think one of the things Liverpool have done this summer as well is the players they've recruited. They've obviously brought in, I think it's fair to say, their first choice targets in virtually every position. But the age range of them as well is important. Because
They brought it right down, haven't they?
Yeah, you've got Kirk as 21. Isak's the oldest of them all, and he's still only 25. And he's a bit of a special case because of how good he is and can be. So they've recruited, obviously not just to defend the title this summer, but for the next 2, 3, 4 years and going again. So this is like the new squad, if you like. You think of Liverpool's 2018 recruitment when it was Virgil comes in the January, Alisson, Fabinho, Shaqiri, Keita, and signed 6 months before Van Dijk was Robertson and Salah, wasn't it? That was the nucleus for the team for a good few years, wasn't it? I think this is going to be a similar thing now with the work that's been undertaken in the summer.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think that's... I'm sure we were talking at this time last year about Liverpool having one of the older teams in the Premier League, and that was often talked about. To do it all in one summer, I don't think we ever expected, but it is a huge thing, isn't it, that they've brought that average age down.
Well, they did it with the midfield, didn't they, 2 years ago, when they replaced practically everybody. Yeah. And I know Endo was a bit older, but you always need that old head, and you've kind of replaced Milner in that respect. I think Liverpool... I think it was he did the interview, not an interview, but did a piece this week. I think it may have been Chris Bascom in the Telegraph, and he said that Liverpool have had no change to the policy of buying players and selling players. It's just that they've concentrated a lot on this summer because they didn't have to, or they weren't able to last summer or in the last couple of Januaries. What are you chuckling at, Joe?
We have a question from an alias that is Christian Hum.
Okay, yeah. I think we know where that's going.
And he says, what was your favourite transfer saga during your 11 years at the Echo, and why was it Nabil Fekir?
Why was it Nabil Fekir?
Yeah.
Well,
it was on my 30th birthday.
This is for you.
Well.
This is for you.
Yeah. Well, it was on my 30th birthday, and poor Christian...
Your 13th birthday. Oh, 30th birthday. 30th. I was going to say.
How long ago? And Christian... I can't remember if he had to go home. He certainly had to run
I
off.
remember him basically cowering in the corner on his phone.
Yeah.
Who's this? Sorry.
To be fair, I had a few drinks and
Christian
can't really
Hum.
remember.
Christian Hum.
Hum. Yeah. I can't really remember what happened properly, but was that must have been, was that the moment they pulled out?
It fell through. Yeah,
it fell through. Yeah. That was definitely my favourite transfer saga for many reasons. It was just. Yeah, it's just crazy. And what I find interesting about Fekir, and I've had this in the back of my mind about Gay here a little bit, is that he then the following season...
That was that.
He never really lived up to the heights that he had done previously. And then he ended up at Real Betis and never really got a big move.
He was injured.
Yeah, I know.
That was...
No, well...
But I sometimes think that it's a sliding doors moment, isn't it? And he missed his chance and you wonder what his career would have been
Klopp
like.
revealed this on the Alisson Becker documentary. He essentially said... They were going to sign Fekir, and then they got word that Alisson was available, so just pulled the plug on it because they needed the money to sign Alisson. So instead of signing a £50 million playmaker, they go and get a £65 million goalkeeper.
It worked out.
Yeah,
it did. Yeah. Well, not for Fekir, it didn't.
Yeah, and not for Christian on my 30th birthday, but thanks, Christian.
Good to hear from him.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we'll catch up soon.
What did you say them again? Sorry,
Hum.
Yeah.
Hum. Yeah. Byron McLaughlin's asking, is it Isak's first start in the Southampton game?
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about that. I still suspect he could end up starting sooner, but
Okay, to be wrong.
And who would you say is our most important and nailed on in big games midfielder? Gravenberch for me, undroppable.
Ooh, that's a good question, that actually, because I think McAllister's a better player, but I probably would agree that Gravenberch is the one that would be on the team sheet more than
when he played. Who did he come in against recently? Was it Newcastle, possibly?
Newcastle.
And he's just got a lovely way about him, hasn't he? Balance and drops the shoulder and gets Liverpool up the pitch. And I thought Liverpool had really missed him, actually, because he missed the Bournemouth game, didn't he? And the
Palace,
Community Shield, because what was the reasoning over that? It was
one of them was a childbirth.
Yeah, that was right. Yeah. So it's a tough on that because they're both brilliant, but they're both very different, aren't they? I'd probably say Gravenberch, just about.
I think Gravenberch because of the nature of his position. It's slightly. I think Alexis McAllister is. If you wanted to keep one of the three of them, it would be him.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. But Gravenberch, because the nature of his position, when he's not in the team, you notice the difference. Whereas I think Curtis fills in quite well. Obviously, I don't necessarily think Curtis is on the same level as McAllister, but I think he fills in quite well. And Liverpool find ways around not having him in the team. But Gravenberch, you notice the difference when he's not there.
Yeah, he's had a brilliant year, hasn't he? Premier League Young Player of the Year, wasn't he? Because of how good he was for Liverpool. And it's interesting when you look back at his first season at Liverpool. Klopp's last season, wasn't it? You still weren't really sure. That is right, isn't it? Is that right? His first season was Klopp's last.
Best. Who's Gravenberch? Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah.
And you were still struggling to see where he properly, was meant to be playing in that midfield. I always remember it. The Europa League game, he's going out for the throw in, and he puts his hand out to basically grab it as though he's going to take the throw in quickly. And he did it before it went out to play, and there was a big groan around Anfield. So I was like, just not quite going right for this lad at the moment. But, full credit to Slot and how Gravenberch's adapted to what's been asked of him since, because he's been absolutely brilliant.
I've got to wrap this up because I've got to call it after 3. It's 15:15.
I was trying to
Right, so let's pick our teams and make our predictions. Ian, I'll let you start.
Alisson, Bradley, just one Alisson.
Yeah.
Bradley, Konate, Van Dijk, and Kekes.
I'll go with Szoboszlai at right back. I'll keep him in there.
Well, I'm interested to see what he does next because he's just told us before that he wants Szoboszlai in the team, and I agree he's got to be in the team. I don't necessarily love this idea of keeping it right back. He's played very, very well at right back for 2 games, and I think you could probably get through this game. So I'm probably going to stick with him at right back. I don't think this is the Burnley side that of old. It's a different Burnley team, so yeah, I'll stick with him at right back.
Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, and Wirtz. So I'm not playing McAllister for this one.
No.
Yeah, I can understand that actually, but I'm going to have to because I've got Szoboszlai at right back. So McAllister, Gravenberch, and
change it if you want.
Florian Wirtz.
Unlike you, I can change. I'm not wedded to the comment I made in the podcast 30 seconds ago, so I'm going to change mine and just do the same thing. I don't know why are you so? Is it once it's said, it's done?
Just courage me convictions, Sean. That's all it is.
Good on you. All right. What's your
forward line?
Decisive.
From Tudor times. Salah, Ekitike, and Gakpo.
Yeah, and hopefully a little 20 minutes for the new number 9.
Absolutely. Give me a prediction.
2-0.
Burnley have only conceded 3 goals in the past 14 years, so I will probably say, I'm going to go 1-0 Liverpool. Another one of those games.
I'm going to say 2-0.
Straightforward.
I know they haven't conceded many goals, Burnley, but
conceded 3 against United,
and they have been playing the Championship. And is it still Scott Parker?
Yes, Scott Parker.
And last time he played Liverpool was 9-0. I think I'll say 2-0. Before we depart,
the score. What was your score?
So you did said 2-0.
I did. Apologies, I didn't hear. Sorry.
Before we depart, can you lift that up and talk to the camera?
Yeah, our Blood Red magazine. Is it magazine?
I'd call it a magazine.
Just the
periodical.
Latest, periodical from the Liverpool Echo. Liverpool reporters. It's features from Ian Doyle.
Yes.
Myself, Theo Squires, Andrew Beasley, who I'm sure our audience will remember. And just other bits and pieces looking ahead to the Champions League with what is actually really important for me and you as a rundown of the teams who are in it.
So when they come to play,
come to play Atletico Madrid on Wednesday, we will be thumbing through it, and go and pick it up now. It's basically built on the back of the success of the title-winning supplement, isn't it? Which
and the podcasts. We thought we'd branch out with the podcasts. So it'll be available monthly. You can buy it worldwide from the Reach online shop, and also in retail.
There you go.
That one there,
smile.
Okay. We also have a daily newspaper and a website as well.
We have many things. You can follow us on many channels, but not me. I'll be saying goodbye for the final time. Paul, thank you. Ian, R.I.P.
Just before you go, the commemorative handing over of the blood red mug. You can keep that one if you want.
Well, you say that, but he wants it, doesn't he?
Yeah, but don't ruin it. We'll just pretend as though
thank you very much. It was my mug actually before Ian stole it and kept it for the room. So
that is true. Do you want to defend yourself, Ian? No, he's shaking his head.
Yeah, I'll hand it back to him. He is very well known in the newsroom for stealing mugs. He stole the editor's mug.
He's a proper tea leaf, isn't he? Yeah.
Put it in his drawer, which is bold. Right. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. I look forward to listening on Monday. See you then. Bye bye.